burning fossil fuels, their citizens and industries have done the most to make heat waves hotter and coastal floods stronger. But they refuse to talk about it. But the poorest can't afford to pay for other people's pollution. So should the rich world be paying for the damages? And if so, how? Electricity grids are getting cleaner, but our lives are still tied to fuels like oil and gas. Over the last 150 years, the US has spewed out the most carbon dioxide, followed by China and Russia. Big countries like India, Indonesia and Brazil make the top 10, as well as smaller ones like Germany and the UK. But if you look at emissions per person, lots of these countries drop down the ranks. The Chinese, Indians, Brazilians, Indonesians are out. Canadians and Australians are in, along with smaller and lower income countries who have lost lots of forest relative to the size of their population. The injustice here is that the people hit hardest by climate change are mostly the least responsible for it. Pacific islands are drowning. Sub-Saharan Africa is facing floods and droughts. Heat waves are killing crops in South Asia. The scale of this damage is terrifying. June rains made stronger by climate change led to floods that washed away homes, crops and livelihoods. The bill for losses and damages change is even trickier. For a start, it's hard to work out exactly how much it adds to any extreme weather event, particularly in parts of the world where weather data is poor. And even when scientists can put a number on extra rainfall or higher temperatures, it's not clear how much that increases the costs of the damage, like broken bridges or washed out houses. The second problem is that the damage will continue well into the future. Taking responsibility would mean not a one-off payment but a constant flow of money, and that's going to be a hard sell in rich countries whose taxpayers will ultimately be already struggling to pay off debts when the pandemic struck. Now they're stuck with soaring energy bills and expensive food. Add extreme weather to the mix and you have a perfect storm of problems. Climate change sinks countries further into debt traps. You borrow at high interest rates to recover from a flood, which leaves you less money to build sea walls, which leaves you more exposed to floods, which... you get the idea.
These will ultimately determine whether communities on the ground receive the support they need. Some of them are as follows.
Houses on higher stilts, but these efforts had their limits. Now cyclones hit the Solomon Islands every season, powerful enough to cripple our economy overnight. With rising sea levels, our islands are sinking, some completely submerged, and with them, fundamental parts of our history, identity, and culture, trapped underwater, gone forever.
Climate change is often called the biggest injustice of our generation. The least developed countries like ours have emitted the tiniest fraction of the planet warming gases that drive climate change. Yet, we are 5 times more likely to lose our lives from climate-related disasters.
Salt from the encroaching waves poisons our fresh water and forces people to travel great distances to find water for drinking and cooking.
Our coral reefs, home to thousands of marine species, are dying, and with them, the protein that sustains us. The losses we are experiencing from climate change are irreplaceable. This damage is irreparable. As our water and land disappears, whole communities are forced to relocate.
Some forced to squat illegally, exacerbating tensions between ethnic groups, which makes us afraid we will revisit the violent conflicts of the past that labeled our country a failing state.